All right, there we go. So I wanted to make this a group call because we haven't, the last few weeks, we've been off. I've taken off on coaching, and I'm going to try and take one more week off, if you will. Part of what it is I'm giving my voice or my esophagus a rest. When I coach for 4 hours, I mean, it's just it's just brutal. And I've made a lot of progress on my esophagus, and I'm really, really hoping that, one extra week will help me with this and give me kind of on the. I feel like I'm on the path to healing, but I just wanted to give it that little extra week. So I figured, and the reality is that they're pretty much the same message for everybody anyway. So, with that said, so let's get going. So today's topic is, the first question I have is, you know, what is your goal or plan? Do you have a goal or plan, right? This is a question you need to ask yourself. Do you have a goal or a plan, right? And then your goal, and it could be, and the goal can be, either how many deals or how much money do you want to make, right? That could be either one. And actually, I heard the thing one time about goal versus plan. So a goal is something you aim for. I love the idea of a plan. A plan is something you just plan to achieve, right? I thought that was a very, very interesting approach to where a goal is something you shoot for, but a plan is something you just execute. But and I just kind of like that. So I want you all to think about that. Write that down. Do you have a plan? What is your goal? How many deals do you want to do? How much money do you want to make? Because the reality is, if you don't have one, then if you don't know where you're going, how do you plan to get there? Right? I mean, we all heard that expression. I mean, this is all basic. There's nothing earth-shattering that we're going to share today, but it's just that constant reminder, and and it reminds me too. I mean, because I need to do it myself. Have my plan, my goals, and I do. But I mean, it's I need the structure just like everybody else does. um, um, oops. I don't know if somebody sent me a message or what. So somebody. Okay, so there we go. Someone's heavy breathing, right? So I saw someone post that they wanted to take X amount of clients this year, not a number of deals. And that's fine. Either way is fine. So if, number of deals versus money, I always focused on deals because I figured, you just focus on the deals, the money just takes care of itself. But then I knew one guy by the name of Thatch Wynn. His philosophy always was, he says, if you plan to make $1 million, and if you made $1 million on one deal, would that be okay? And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so, huh? So his philosophy always was focused on the money. So, and either way works. So whatever works for you. But I want you to do this. So by the time we have our first individual call, so some of you that's next week, and then some of you it's the following week. So some of you have an extra week to work on this. But I want you to have what it is you want and have some kind of plan. And we'll talk about how to walk through that, and you'll kind of understand it. So we'll walk through some basics on this. And again, nothing earth-shattering here. So, so whatever your goal is or your plan, do you have a plan to actually get to doing that, right? So plan typically is, usually day-to-day routine type of stuff, right? So it's really about schedule. Schedule is the key to everything, right? Believe it or not, if you want freedom, you have to have a tight schedule, and it almost doesn't make sense. However, because if you have a tight schedule, you'll actually have freedom because you'll be free to do the things you want because you can schedule the things you want to do, right? So if you want to take time off, you want to spend time with your family, you want to take a vacation, whatever it is, you'll have the ability to do that because you have a schedule. So that's kind of really where it works out at, So believe it or not, and it just almost seems like, by not having a schedule, you're kind of free. And the reality is you're not, because when you don't have a really good, hard-working schedule, then what you are is you're a slave to everybody else's schedule. So that's why schedule is a schedule equals freedom, believe it or not. So one of the things I wrote down, multitasking is overrated, right? Multitasking is just overrated. People think, I can do 2, 3 things at one time, and the reality is you can't. I mean, you can't focus on multiple things. You can maybe have things, and then the phone rings. You're in the middle of this. The phone rings. The next thing you know, you're doing that, and the end of the day goes by. You've been busy all day, and you look back and you say, "My gosh, I didn't get anything done." And it's because there was no real focus, and that's the key. And that's the next topic we're going to talk about is time blocking. Time blocking is the key to everything, right? So time blocking is the key to everything. So, and Richard's question is, are you planning to create a 2019 goal plan similar to last year? Yeah. And so, what I want each of you to do, and to answer Richard's question, is yes. Well, each person is going to have their own plan and goal. So I want you to tell me what you want, and then we're going to work. And then I want you to have an idea. You guys know how to do this. You know how many deals you want to do. You know how much money you want to make. You know what a schedule's like. You know what it is you really got to do. So I want you to have yours prepared, and then when we get on our individual one-on-one coaching call, we're going to tweak those. So that's the goal today, is to get everybody here and just say, okay, let's get everybody on the same page. And then as we start our one-on-one calls, then we'll be able to do each person individually. So, okay, that makes sense. All right, so time blocking, right? So let's talk about time blocking. Scott says, I have no sound. Scott, so there's a number you can, if he has no sound, he can't hear me. So try calling in on the phone. I don't know the number off the top of my head. Let's see, because I just connected my computer. Does anybody know the phone number you're dialing at? If you do, type it into the instant message so that Scott can get it. So let's talk about time blocking, right? So time blocking is there's two. I mean, it's just basically time blocking is. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me mute myself real quick. Sorry about that. I had some people here working in my house. So anyway, so time blocking is just about taking chunks of things and then working on it, and everything, and you don't want to really do too much more than 2 hours at a time, right? So almost anything can be accomplished 2 hours. You can almost have fun doing something for 2 hours. Once it gets past 2 hours, then it starts to become arduous and the fun kind of goes away. But and I always say there's two major time blocks that are very, very important to this business, right? And if you manage these two very, very well, everything else will just take care of itself. It won't matter. Does that make sense? So in other words, and as I go through it, I'll explain what that means, right? So the two major time blocks, right, are number one is your morning routine, right? That's your number one time block, okay? And then we'll talk more about that in detail. Then your second time block is your appointment setting sessions, prospecting, whatever you want to call it, lead generation. I like the idea of appointment setting sessions, again, because it gives it a focus, right? It gives you focus. What is it that we're trying to do when you're lead generating, right? We don't want to generate leads for the sake of leads. We want to set appointments. So when you focus on appointment setting sessions, then when you get a lead, you're putting them into a follow-up system to convert them to an appointment at some other time, right? That's the goal of appointment setting sessions, is to get leads, put them in a system, and try and set the appointment. Close to the appointment, always be closing for the appointment. When in doubt, if you're ever stuck and you can't think of something to say, you just say, boy, that's exactly why we need to get together, right? I mean, what a great line. I love that line. One of my favorite lines of all time. Well, that's exactly why we need to get together. So, but I want everybody to keep it focused on appointment setting sessions. So, and then the thing is now, and we're going to talk mostly on SOI, but other people, there's other types of things to do. You got geographic farming, you got web leads, you have things like that, and for sale by owners and expired. Just the other day, right? I mean, if you look at how many, has anybody looked at how many expireds there were? On let's see, I'll actually pull it up. Let's show you on the MLS. Watch it. December 31st is like one of the big expired days, one of the most expired days of the year. So we go in there and just search. Let's see, quick. No, we want to go to full. I'm sorry, full, and then you go expired. Let's see, expired, take active off, and then you just do expired date. Let's see, no, we want to do 12/31/2018 to 12/31/2018, right? One day. 539 expired listings in one day, right? There's gold in there, man. There's people in there. So that's a lot of expired listings, right? And if we take it out, we take out the end date. I mean, there's not many more. But you see how many? So that there's just opportunity there. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that, but you'll get the concept here in a second. So, so let's talk about the two major time blocks a little more. Let's drill into those, right? And the key to that, and the thing is, I mean, and it's the key, because if you manage your morning routine and then your appointment setting sessions, the rest of your day, the rest of your business, the rest of your life will just fall in place. Because if you set appointments, well, you now know what you have to do this afternoon. If you set a listing appointment, you got to prepare for the listing appointment. If you set up a buyer showing appointment, you're setting a buyer showing appointment up. So just by managing the morning sessions, everything else will just fall into place. It's not a big deal. A little bit of interference here. I'm going to go ahead and mute this, and you can always unmute yourself. So that way we get that. It was some kind of noise. I'm not sure quite what it was, but anyway, not a big deal. So, so let's talk about. So let's move on to the next slide, right? So here's your two time blocks, right? Your morning routine, whatever that is, right? Waking up, meditation, prayer, journaling, whatever you do. If you do it, if you don't do it, or you do or don't do, I highly recommend you do something, right? Prayer, meditation, just sit around and prayer, if that's your deal. Journaling. Some people like to journal where they write things down and they do, write about what their goals are, what their objective is for the day, whatever that routine is, right? Exercise, then breakfast. And if you have to take care of others, some of you have kids, you got to get off to school, things like that. And so, things like that. So, whatever that is, but that's a block of time right there. And that's a couple hours, right? I mean, maybe a little more, but it's really a couple hours. But once you have that routine, but really your morning routine really starts the night before by getting the right amount of sleep, right? The older I get, the more I've been studying on sleep. Sleep is amazing, and you don't realize it, when you say, well, we brag, I work, I only sleep 5 hours, and I work, blah blah blah, and I'm starting to learn, and as I study that, sleeping is actually so healthy for you that God, I'm like, wish I'd have learned that earlier. I would have taken more naps, right? So anyway, but so then exercise, obviously exercise and breakfast and take care of others, right? That's kind of a morning routine. Whatever yours is, I'm not telling you this is what you have to do, but you all have one, right? You all have one. And then but get it down and really understand what it is. And then, because we all do it whether we have it written down as a plan or not, right? So then your time block that matters, right? Like I said, if you do these two time blocks, everything else will handle itself, right? Let's talk about appointment setting sessions, right? But for that, you want to do role play, right? You want to role play and practice. I was at the gym this morning. I go to the rec center because this time of year I walk on the indoor track. I don't like walking outside. It's too. I mean, there's cold and then there's desk. This is too cold to walk outside. And then anyway, and a lot of ice out there. So anyway, but I got there at 5:30, and there was this kid. He must have been about maybe 15. He was a high school kid. He was already there. He had been there, but he was on the basketball court. The track's up above the basketball court. I walk around it, but he's there practicing, and so he was already there practicing. I'm guessing he's getting there by 5 o'clock. He left right around 6, but he was there for an hour practicing by himself. I mean, you could tell he was doing like little routines and stuff like that. And I've seen them there before, but that was kind of in the middle of the day on the Sunday. They don't open until noon, that kind of stuff. But this kid, I mean, he's obviously focused, right? 5 o'clock in the morning, he's at the gym by himself for an hour practicing his dribbling, his shooting, his 3-point shot, his foul shot, he's just, it was amazing to watch this kid because I'd seen him before. And then, but until I saw him at 5:30 in the morning, I didn't realize, I thought he was just some kid playing, right? But no, he's out there. He's focused. This kid is laser focused. He's going to be a star on a basketball team, right? So practice is so, so important. We talk about it on football. If you ever watch football, I mean, let's just say, let's say you're an NFL quarterback and you play, let's say the time of the possession is split in half, 30 minutes each. So you're playing a 30-minute game, but each play, there's like 40 seconds between each play. So, and then let's say the offense runs 60 plays, right? So they just get off 60 plays, and each play lasts, I don't know, let's say 8 seconds, right? So what's that? So 60, you got 60 plays times 8 seconds. That's 480 seconds divided by 60, right? That's 8 minutes. So they're actually playing. The actual physical playing time is 8 minutes, right? And yet, but they practice, all off season. They're working out. They're doing drills. They don't practice as hard during the season because they want to keep their bodies. They don't want to hurt themselves. But they're doing walkthroughs. They're studying film and things like that. I mean, these guys are practicing and they're playing 8 minutes, but yet they'll spend 20, 30, 40, 50 hours a week inside their practice of some sort. And yet our industry, if we practice, if you practiced a half hour a day, your business would improve. I mean, it just would, period. I don't care what anybody tells you. If you practiced a half hour a day, your business will improve. And we have all the things that on our site, if you want to understand the scripts, I know some people say, I don't like scripts, and it's like, so, just listen to them anyway. If you listen to the scripts, we have them to Baroque music where you can listen to them over and over and over. You don't have to listen to the whole thing. You can pick out one or two, just kind of listen to them over and over, pick out one or two scripts out of the script book, practice them over and over and over, and then you will find yourself using the dialogue in such ways, and then you'll find yourself actually pulling a line from here and a line from there, instead of just being robotic. Knowing your scripts and dialogues is not about being a robot telling marketing on the phone. It's about knowing exactly what to say without having to think about what to say. That's the key. If you have to think, then, as long as you don't have to think about what to say, you have an advantage. That's which is awesome, right? So role-playing practice. So you want to have that part of your time, and then contacting your SOI, right? Whether that's just a half hour of making a few phone calls. All you got to do is touch base with them. Hey, how's it going? And then end the conversation. By the way, who do you know that may be considering buying, selling, or investing in real estate? Or, or just, call them up and say, my favorite one is to, instead of asking for business, come to approach them with the idea that you're asking them to help you serve someone else. Say, hey, listen, I have this buyer, and we're just having a hard time finding a property for them. And I was wondering, who do you know that may be considering selling, right? Don't, stay real generic. Don't get specific on that. How about writing 3 handwritten cards a day? And what if you wrote 3 handwritten cards a day, every day, to your SOI? I mean, would your business improve? You're darn right it would, right? 3 handwritten cards a day. Right? I mean, and if you can't do that, come on. I mean, if you've done that, after you do it for about 2 weeks, it'll take you 10 minutes, right? You buy boxes of cards, you got your envelopes, you got your stamps, you got your pens. After doing it for a couple of weeks, you'll just have it so down. The routine will be so simple, it'll take you 10 minutes to do that. Then you can do the same thing with texting, right? Texting, same thing, right? What if you text 2 or 3 people? Don't bulk text. I don't recommend bulk texting because a lot of people respond. So if you bulk text, you don't want 30 people responding because you're not going to be able to manage that. So maybe 2 or 3, right? You send out 2 or 3 texts, and you can do the same thing. Say, hey, I have this family that we're having a hard time finding a house. Who do you know that may be considering selling? Just haven't talked to you in a while. Happy New Year. Signed, Rob, your favorite realtor, right? I mean, anything like that. Just get in front of them. And then pop buys, right? We all know. So it's calls, notes, and pop buys, right? That's what Brian Buffini says: calls, notes, and pop buys, right? And we all know the little pop buy gifts, right? We have little things, refrigerator magnets, the kind that you can order those. And if we want, and I'll send out email. We can order them in bulk where you get the magnet that it's a letter opener magnet that it goes right in the refrigerator. You slide your business card in because they're generic. You put your own business card in. We can order them in bulk, and we can get better pricing. So, if something you all want to do, I'm more than happy to facilitate it. We send out the email. You order the numbers you want. Then you give me the money, and then we'll buy them in bulk. That way, everybody gets a better price. But you should have 100 of those, 50 of them in your trunk of your car. Why not? You're near somebody, you just knock on their door. Uh, did you guys see Denise Stoddard's post on our Facebook group, our Aubrey and Associates Facebook group? She went out and what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? She went and bought some stuff. I want to pull up the post here real quick and show it to you. But she went and visited past clients, and she had a ball, and so she loved it. Let me find that post. Where's it at? All right. Where did it go? So here we go. So here's what she did, right? So here's the post she did. So she went out and bought some C's chocolate and bought a bottle of cider, right? I mean, these bottles. I mean, if you buy them, you can get them for like $2. I don't know what the C's candy costs, maybe 10, 12 bucks. But up here, she said her gift was less than $15 per client, and they loved them. I got to reconnect with clients, some that I didn't see over 9 months. They were very appreciative of the gift. I made a point not to talk about business because this was a Christmas thing she was kind of doing, right? So they got a card. She says, asked them how they liked their home. So far, they liked it. Everyone was excited to show me the changes they made. So she went, she hadn't seen her, talked to them in 9 months, and they were so glad to see her that and like, here's my stuff and all that kind of stuff. So, so I encourage that. That's the power of a Popeye. But if you did Popeyes, right, and saw people, plus you had them on a monthly, some kind of monthly mailer, like whether you do it on your own or whether you do join in the mailing system that we do, where we send out the market statistics. So the market statistics keeps you front and center. It keeps you, and it also keeps you competent. You're the competent real estate expert. You're always giving them updates and things like that, right? And then what if you called them a few times? And then anybody that's given you multiple referrals, even if they've given you one referral, if you haven't been in the business that long, anybody that's ever given you a referral, they're A+. You need to work them. You need to call them up. You need to take them to lunch and then, reward them. Anytime somebody says, hey, we just had the role play on Monday. Somebody said, hey, I gave your name out to somebody. I gave your card to a friend of mine or my boss or whatever it was, and the goal is obviously you got to try and get their name and number. When someone does that, say, oh, that's great, man. Hey, what's their name? And you just write down their name. And you go, what's their number? And just try it. And then, sometimes they may not give it to you. But if you just ask right, with kind of like an authoritative sound to it, you may get it. You never know. But the goal is try and get their number. But either or, and they won't give you a number. But immediately send them, send them $20. Take a crisp $20 bill, take a handwritten card, put the $20 bill in there and send it to them, right? So you want to reward the behavior of someone sending you a referral. It's not their job to qualify the referral, right? It's not their job to qualify the referral. It's their job to. You don't want them to learn to qualify. You just want them to send you the referrals to qualify them, but you want to reward the behavior, right? Reward the behavior. But 3 handwritten cards a day. If you do 3 handwritten cards a day, you could do a 200-person database in every quarter easily, right? That's it. 200-person database every quarter and you could send 4 handwritten cards a year to these people. So excuse me, just by doing 3 a day. 3 a day. So if you just talk to 3 people a day, did 3 handwritten cards a day, and then text 3 handwritten people a day. If you texted 3 people, so calling 3 people a day. Let's say it took 5 minutes each call, right? That's 15 minutes. Handwriting 3 cards. Let's say it took 5 minutes a card, which, like I said, after a couple of weeks, it only takes 10. So, but let's just say that's 30 minutes. And then if you texted 3 people a day, what could that, I mean, how long could that take? 3 minutes, a minute. But then if, let's say they started responding, have a little exchange, say it's another 10 minutes, right? So you're looking at 30, that whole thing there is like, let's see, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, right? 40 minutes. And what if you went and dropped by and saw 2 people, 3 people a day? What would that take? An hour. So you're talking 2 hours, right? And then 2 hours, you talk to 3 people, send out 3 cards, you text to 3 people, and stop by and visited 3 people. If you did that, I promise you, your business will increase. I promise you, if you do it every day. But the key is consistency. Key is consistency. Success is not an event. Success is simply doing the success is simply doing just the little things day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. That is success, right? If anybody wants to talk about other types of lead generation, web leads and things like that for sale by owners expireds, I'm more than happy to talk about it. However, I know our numbers. 80% of all your business, if not more, is coming from friends and family and referrals. I mean, it's just the reality of it, but we're not maximizing it. That's the thing. We're not maximizing it. Once you maximize it, and then if you learn to do it and you grow your database larger, you're like, heck, I don't need any other types of lead source. If I can do, you literally can run. I mean, people that have very, very successful referral-based businesses are managing these with like 50 people. Because what they got 50 people that are handing them, maybe 4 or 5 referrals a year. Now, not every referral closed, right? So for every 3 referrals, you get an appointment. For every 2 appointments, you get a listing, for whatever, something like that. You know what I mean? So it's like it may take 6 or 7 actual referrals to get a deal. So you need to get a lot of them. But I mean, so I just laid out 2 hours. So there's your 2 hours. Now, all this can be done by like 11:30, right? Seriously, it can be done by 11:30. Maybe sooner if you started at 8 o'clock. I mean, start handwriting your cards at 8 o'clock or whatever, and then and then doing your texting, and you can literally be done if you're out the door at 8:30, 9 o'clock and doing 3 Popeyes. That take you maybe an hour and a half. But so, like I said, you can be done by 11 o'clock, 11:30 latest every day. And if you did this every day, and then your afternoons just fall into place, right? Somebody says, yeah, we're thinking about selling our home. You set the appointment. It's usually in the evening, so you're done. You don't have to worry about it. We don't need to worry about everything else. It will just manage itself, right? It's an old expression. Take care of your pennies, and your dollars will take care of themselves. Right? Same thing with this. You take care of your morning and your afternoons will take care of themselves. Right? Any thoughts, questions, concerns? I know I had everybody on mute, and of course I just went. So if you got any good background noise, please be cognizant of that. So, any thoughts, questions, concerns? Did I lose everybody? Does everybody think this is a doable process?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Right. So based on that, so with that said, so for the coaching, those that are actually in one-on-one coaching, so I want you to take this to heart, what I'm teaching you, and then by our next call, I would want you to have a plan to develop so that when we get on the call, we can discuss your plan and maybe make any adjustments, or I can just say, hey, this is a perfect plan. Go for it, And a lot of times you don't know. I mean, you have to tweak them. Now, there's going to be exceptions to the rule, right? That you can't get out of things. But I'm here to tell you, just don't make what do you call it? Just don't make appointments in the morning if you can help it, right? I mean, obviously, I understand sometimes that you can't help it, but Brian Buffini said it best. Look, we don't make time to lead generate. Lead generation is just built in your schedule. We make time to do addendums. We don't make time to lead generate. We make time to go on the inspection appointments, but we don't make time to lead generate. That is just built into the system. And it just has to be if you want to make money in this business. It's that simple.
Rob, last year you sent out a sheet, something for like the goals and stuff. Are you looking for something like that this year?
Oh yeah, I can find that and send it out. It's the same thing. I'll find that. Yeah, it came from Bruce Keith. Yeah, because I try to keep it real simple, right? For me, it's like, sometimes you get these business plans that 12, 15 pages. I know realtors, you're not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't write out those 12, 15 business plans. You just need to know how many deals you want to do. Just really the goal is, and all I ever want from you is I want you to master your morning. If you just say, look, my goal is to get up at this time and exercise and be on the phones by this time, and put in 2 hours, right? Just 2 hours from this time to this time. That's it. If you just do the 2 hours, everything else falls in place. All these other business plans and ratios and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is great, But I'm here to tell you, if you just put in 2 hours, there's no reason why you can't do 12 to 18 deals a year. Easy. Seriously, it's that easy. You just got to get in the habit of just doing the 2 hours a day. But I'll find that and I'll get that that plan sheet from last year and I'll send it out. I have to make myself a note. I have to send myself an email. So let's see, send business plan. Yeah, and the reason, like I said, the reason why I'm not a big fan of those is because sometimes they're so complicated that you're just not going to do it. So that's why I like keeping it very, 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 very simple, right? You just 2 sets of time blocks: your morning routine, and then what it is you're going to do for your appointment setting sessions. That's it. And then, and this is your basic SOI. And like I said, 80% of all the business in this company is SOI business. 80% of the business, pretty much the real estate is SOI. It's either, somebody a past client, or a friend of a friend type thing, right? That's where 80% of your business comes from. Now, there are people that do web leads. I understand that. That's, I'm not saying there's not, but according to Brian Buffini, only 9% of buyers find their agent online. Now, some of you on call are actually good at it, and that's fine. Most of you are not, period. And that's okay. As tech savvy as I was, I chased web leads for a little while and just said, you know what? I don't like this. I'd rather cold call. I'd rather call FSBOs than chase web leads, because the difference between the two, when you're doing web leads, you're on call for whenever they hit, because remember, web leads are cold in 5 minutes. So whenever they hit enter on their computer, that's when you're working. Where if you time block and you push you force all the lead generation into your schedule, you're not on call 24/7 anymore. You're doing your lead generation during your time. So because web leads, it's a solo agent's dilemma, because you got to contact them within 5 minutes. But how do you service clients? How do you lead generate? How do you show houses? All that other stuff, and eat dinner and all that kind of stuff. If you have to call somebody within 5 minutes, that's tough, and you're on their schedule, not on yours. Where if you're doing the active prospecting, then you got complete control of your schedule. And here's the thing, boys and girls. Hey, you can work. You get up and work at 11 o'clock. If you didn't set any appointments, you take the rest of the day off, man. Go see a movie. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can take the rest of the day off guilt-free. Guilt-free. That's the beauty of it. You can take it off guilt-free. So, and then it's just 2 hours. Like I said, but if you want other things, then let me know, and then we'll talk about those separate. I'm thinking about doing a role-playing call on Thursdays. I know we're going to try it and see what kind of participation we get. And I don't know if it's going to happen tomorrow. No, maybe. I don't know. I'll have to see what happens. I have to look at my schedule. But I'm going to try that. So, because we have our productive agent class, our group call every Monday at 9. And then I'm thinking about maybe doing a role play call every Thursday at 9. That way you guys can hear some of these scripts and dialogues in action and realize that, Because the first reaction to people say scripts, I don't want to sound like a telemarketer. Well, the only way you don't sound like a telemarketer is to actually know the script, right? So if you actually hear these scripts in live in a good setting where they're not sounding like a script, then your confidence will go up. Because the key to everything is if you know exactly what to say, right, then it's a lot easier to start making calls and just calling people up. And I don't mean cold call. I'm just talking about people you know. People don't know you. Past clients, just call them up. How's it going? And talk to you in a while. Blah, 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 right? Call them up. So anyway, just to say hi. So that's pretty much what I got. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? If not, I'm going to go ahead and end the call. And then I'll get that business plan out today, and then and if you want, have something written down like that. But again, simple is good. I'm thoroughly convinced that the more simple it is, the more likely you're going to do it. I am convinced of that. When it gets complicated, it doesn't get done because it takes a long time to create the habits of changing your habits of getting a routine. Then once you get this basic routine down, then we can add more to it. But in the meantime, you just got to get down to the basics. And like I said, if you do this, I promise you, make 12 to 18 deals a year. A lot of money, 12 to 18 deals. Let's say your $7,500 average times 8, or no, back up one. No, let's see. I can just do 1.8. Right? That's $135,000 gross revenue. It's a lot of money. And it's not hard, working 2 hours a day. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end the call unless anybody's got any questions. And some of you couldn't hear it. It is being recorded, so I will post a recording on the Facebook group, so you'll be able to hear it. Awesome. All right, guys.
Thank you, Rob.
So you guys have an awesome day. Happy New Year. Let's make 2019 the best year of your life. See you guys.
Thank you.